girls, guys and non-binary pals, I'm Salmon and this is my channel, Jolly Salmon. Today I'd like to talk to you about cosplay competitions. If you're new to my channel, hi, I'm Salmon and I make cosplays. I'm also interested in sustainable living and I'm a huge nerd. You probably clicked on this video because you are a cosplayer or you want to be one. But if you're kind of lost and don't know what cosplay is, I'll explain it to you. It is an act of dressing up to look like an anime, manga, video game, Japanese rock or K-pop character. Actually, you can cosplay as anyone. Like movie characters, TV series characters, cartoon characters, anyone. Cosplay can be divided into two parts, basic cosplay and masquerade cosplay. Both types of cosplay involve trying to physically look like the character, including speaking like the character and memorizing quotes. Yeah, that's a little bit far-fetched, but yeah, that's what cosplay is. We basically try to resemble characters when we dress up, when we cosplay. We do not cosplay like in our day-to-day life unless we are making a photo shoot, we are taking videos, photos, we are attending a convention or recording TikToks or YouTube videos. It's not like fashion, it's more of a hobby. It's like LARPing or playing Dungeons and Dragons or playing video games. Basically, a cosplayer can buy their costume or make it themselves. The makers and everyone involved, like in making wigs or makeup, we spend a lot of time making the costumes. And so when it's time for us to go and compete, we really like to do that. Most cosplay competitions are held by conventions. Again, for people who don't know what conventions are big group gatherings of fans of certain works. For example, there are anime conventions, and there are furry conventions, and there are fantasy conventions, and there are overall conventions, like for fans of science fiction, fantasy, anime, manga, LARPing, and anything the hell you wish. And one of the main benefits of contests being held by conventions is that there's already an audience there, and many of the people attending conventions are actually cosplayers themselves. So how do you actually take part in a competition? Can you just attend a convention, walk up to the stage and say, I want to take part in a cosplay competition? Do you have a list there or something? No, it doesn't work like that. It used to in the olden days that some of my friends say they remember so vividly. But I started cosplaying 3 years ago, so I didn't actually have anything in common with the olden days of conventions. They seem scary and they seem a lot of fun, but they seem scary and unorganized. So now, most competitions are actually organized in a very professional manner. The convention should have its own web page, or at least a Facebook page, or at least an event on Facebook. And there, if it holds a competition, everything should be accessible and available. Sometimes it's just the rules of the contest written in some PDF that is scattered in a link on this page. And sometimes it's a whole form you have to fill, and it sends it automatically to a coordinator of the contest. Wait, what's a coordinator? You know, the person who coordinates stuff. It's the person that is responsible for the contest going well. Sometimes coordinators take care of the contestants, for example, checking in on them if they are well or unwell, maybe ordering someone to get water for them, or just chatting with them. The coordinator is responsible for going through every single form that is sent to the convention and checking if everything is alright with the form, if you are eligible to actually take part in the contest, and also telling you that you are qualified or not. They are also in charge of the stage, so they tell you from which stage door you should go in on the stage. There's one thing I have to mention here when I'm talking about contest coordinators, because there's one thing I have been guilty of myself, and it's being very, very late. The thing is, most of the contest's closing hours for filling out and sending out the form that are stating you are willing to take part in a competition are closing, for example, at 12 o'clock, like PM, midnight. And the coordinator has to have all of the information on a very, very tight deadline. And these are the people that also have regular work or their own cosplays, and they have to manage all of the documents for the competition. So if the virtual doors for the forms to go in the mailbox of the coordinator close at midnight and you send something out at 11:59, so the coordinator will have to wait for your form until midnight in order to mark it as read and to fill the documents in and to go through all of the forms. And that's just rude. Please, let them sleep. They do so much for you and for the competitions. Like, I'm not a coordinator myself, but most of my friends that have been coordinators have said that this is the most annoying thing for everyone working at a contest. So please don't do it to them. Send it out an hour or two before midnight, please, so they can mark everything and go to sleep. Okay, so you have sent your form, right? No, wait. First, I have to tell you how most of the competitions work nowadays. So most of the competitions in my country actually have 3 categories. Number 1 is the best costume. The best costume award goes to the best dressed cosplayer. The one with the greatest technique and the greatest aesthetics of their costume. And also the one that used the hardest techniques and many different techniques, while also resembling the reference picture the most. Wait, what is a reference picture? Actually, I should have told you that before that. So when making a cosplay, you can let your creativity flow and make a cosplay that resembles the character in a very small part. It will not be a great cosplay, but it will be your own version of a character. And that is possible. Yeah, you can do it, but not for a competition. In order to take part in a competition, you have to have a reference picture. What is a reference picture? It's just a picture of your character that you have to resemble 1 to 1. How do you say it in English? Because in Poland we say drop to drop, like drops of rain, kropka w kropkę, and we say 1 do 1, like ratios, 1 to 1. I don't know. So you have to be as close to the reference picture as you can, because the judges will have the reference picture like right by your side and will check if everything is all right in your costume. If the proportions are off, you're going to have less points than someone that has the right proportions in their costume. If the colors are wrong, you are going to have some trouble with the points. If you added more flowers than there are in the costume, then that's also unreference-like. The reference picture is sacred on the competitions, and that's one thing you have to remember when taking part in a contest. So now you have a reference picture, you made the costume, you did, right? Because for most of the competitions in my country, you have to make your costume yourself. You cannot display a costume that someone else made without disclosing it. You cannot wear your friend's costume unless it's stated in the rules of the competition. If it's stated that models for a costume are eligible and they are able to take part in this competition, then you're free to go. But for most of the competitions, you have to make the costume yourself. Why? Because it's mostly a craftsmanship contest. We are not looking for someone that can buy a costume and style it well. We are looking for someone that actually can make a masterpiece. And that's very important. Of course, there are plenty of internet competitions or competitions for models, but it's not most of the cosplay competitions that I've come across. So you've filled your form, you have your costume, you made it yourself, so now you have to think of a skit. Because the second category that most of the competitions in my country have is the skit. It's basically the second part of cosplay, play, because you have to think of something that your character would do, or a meme connected to your character, or something that just fits, like dancing or another song. For example, you can dress up like Spider-Man and perform Umbrella, because Tom Hiddleston performed Umbrella, and it's a meme-like situation. And also, if you're a good dancer, you will get a lot of points. So the skits work this way. You have a limited amount of time to actually perform on the stage. The limits are stated in the rules. You can bring as many props as are stated in the rules, and also you should be doing the skit yourself. So if you want to bring a helper on stage so that they could help you out with the props, or they could move anything on stage, you have to check in with the rules, read through them carefully, and check if it's possible for you to do that. Because you don't want to be disqualified just because your helper could be counted as a duet partner. It has happened before, and that's scary. I don't like this situation. I vividly remember that there was a viral video of someone on a very high-end prestigious contest doing a Pirates of Caribbean skit, doing Jack Sparrow and Davy Jones with a huge set that was a ship and with tentacles and kraken, and it was awesome. You have to Google it, like I'm sure it will pop up somewhere, because it was beautiful. You can also use your own skills, for example singing or dancing, because it's something interesting that makes your skit more engaging for the audience and for the jury. And the third category in most competitions in my country, for example, is Grand Prix. It basically combines the first two categories, so best costume and best skit, and the cosplayer that gets this award has to have both of them at a very, very high level. So like it's a Venn diagram. So here's the cosplayers that have the best skit, here's the cosplayers that have the best cosplays, and it's the person in the middle. You get it, right? The judges have a very tough decision to make, because they have to choose someone from one of the three categories. But also, there are contests when there is a standard number placement. First place, second place, third place, and some honorable mentions. There are also cosplays that honor the best sword, or the best sewn costume, or the best armor. And these are some cool awards, really. Like, I would love to make a best armor. So, in some international cosplay contests, the points are given for costume mostly, and for some, the skit is more important for the judges. So, you have to read through the rules and see the percentages of the points, how many go to the skit and how many go to the cosplay, because it's very complicated. And you can have the most wonderful costume, but decide to go and do a skit like I walk through a stage epically, and this will lose you a competition, because even though you have the best costume ever, you had 20% of the points that were available to you, and you lost 80% because they were awarded for the skit. I am no expert in that. I promise you, I will educate myself when it's my time to go to any of these international European contests. Yeah, that would be cool. Like, I would love to go, but I have a lot of work in front of me. So, there are many categories in which you can win your prize. But how do you actually do it? The most important part in most very well organized contests, remember it, well organized contests have this. But I personally was to one contest that did have this segment, but it was organized so poorly that I was almost in tears. But I will not expose anyone or anything, but it was a traumatic situation, and I wouldn't advise anyone to live through it. So what's this traumatic situation that I've gone through? It's the judges round. The judges round on its own isn't actually so traumatic. It's actually quite fun. I really like going to the judges round. It's a very, very short amount of time that is timed in some instances, and sometimes it's a little bit more loose. But you basically have to go and stand in front of the judges and talk to them about your costume. So, for example, you take a prop and you say, this is EVA foam, and this has a styrofoam core, and inside here there are pipes, PVC pipes, so it could be straight, and I made it with a Pepakura file, and I sanded it down, and I painted it with Montana cans. And basically the trick is you have to say everything that you can that is in favor of your cosplay. So you don't want to mention the paint streaks that are underneath your armor, or you don't want to, make their attention go to that one strand of ripped seam because it ripped right before the judges round. And you don't want to make them pay attention to your own hair that is actually poking through your wig. You just want them to look at the most amazing parts of your cosplay. And it's really fun talking about how you made the costume, because you can finally stand in front of someone that knows what you're talking about and appreciates it. It's very, very fun. It's not like talking to your mom that says, oh yeah, that's fun, sweetie, yeah. It's like, oh, you did it like this? Oh my god, can I see? And the judges, I had one situation in which the judges just stood up and were like, can I see it? Can I see it? It was so fun. And then you have to evacuate rather quickly because all of the other contestants have to also go through it. And so, yeah, that's one part of the contest. So that's the first part. The second part is the skit itself. You are going to go on stage and perform and then go off of the stage. Yeah, that's this simple. There is also a rehearsal held before in most of the competitions, because sometimes cosplayers have to know how big the stage actually is, because they can't see anything and they can fall off the stage, for example. And we have to know if the sound works, we have to know if the mics are working, if we are singing, we have to know if our tap dancing recital will be heard, or if we need to be mic'd somewhere on the floor. We have to know if our wings will enable us to turn, or will we smack anyone with them. And that's very important, because rehearsals can let you win the competition or can let you lose it. What else? First part done, second part done, and then third part is just award placement. Yeah, like the judges say who won which category. The judges also give out honorable mentions if they are available, and the competition ends in the evening, and that's all. You can also go into a competition in a duet or a huge group. There are separate rules for different contests. You can always send a message to the coordinator in order to ask if you can perform in a group, if you can perform in a duet. If you're performing in a duet, will you be eligible for the prize for example, best cosplay, or only for best skit? So this is quite a complicated topic, but I hope my video made you less scared of competitions and more willing to take part in one. Competitions are seriously one of the most precious times in cosplay that I have experienced. You can meet friends backstage, you can meet friends on conventions that you go to in the costumes that you want to take part in the contest in, and also you can just perform in your cosplay with your huge wings or your huge sword, and that's amazing. If you have any suggestions or advice for beginner YouTubers, then don't hesitate to leave them down below in the comments. I'll gladly read through them. And also, if you have any questions or topics for another video, then go ahead and leave them there too. Also, if you'd like to support me, my work, my channel, my cosplays, then consider becoming my Patreon or buying me a coffee. On my Patreon and my coffee group, I post the videos so you can see them earlier than anyone else, because I post them earlier than here. So if you want to see them or get other rewards or just want to support me, consider going to any of these sites. The links will be in the description. Okay, that's all from me for today, and I'll see you next time. Bye! How do you say formularz? Form. Oh.